Podcast One presents The Chad Prather Show, your one-stop shop for comedy, craziness, and common sense. Each week, YouTube star and voice of the everyman, Chad Prather, brings his armchair philosophy and observational humor to the podcast world. Nothing is off limits. And now for your host, Chad Prather.
Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you to the Chad Prather Show here, presented by Podcast One. I'm sitting in the studios out in L.A., and this is an exciting adventure. I'm looking forward to talking with some really great personalities in upcoming weeks, months, and even years. It just depends on how many of you guys are willing to keep tuning in, subscribing, and listening, and I hope you do. Hope you enjoy it, because we're going to have some pretty exciting stuff going on here. I know I'm excited about it as we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving just next week, and I hope you guys have some things to be thankful about as you consider being around family and friends and just looking forward to, celebrating the things we have in life, because it's a pretty good country we live in, and most of us are pretty blessed. I know that some of you maybe have had a hard year, but we can put all that behind us. That's the beauty of being able to just start over again. So give thanks for what you got, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy that. I know I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you, for one thing, listening and tuning in, and over the last couple of years watching the videos that I've done and supporting me out on tour on the road. And it's been a good deal. I had no idea that whenever I put my camera phone on the dashboard of my truck and started talking to it, and just for me it was therapeutic, just telling people the thoughts that were on my mind, that millions and millions of people were going to start watching those videos on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and all of the different social medias. And it's crazy. Now I just recently took a count on Facebook alone. We've passed 800 million views on videos. So you guys are wasting a lot of time with me, and I appreciate you doing that, because being able to do stuff like that has led me right here to this studio in Los Angeles in the Podcast One studios, and it's opened the door for me to meet a lot of really great people over the last couple of years, and I've worked in collaboration with a number of different ones, and hopefully over the next few months I'm going to introduce you to several of them. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to have in studio a friend. I won't call her a good friend in terms of how long we've known each other, but we've become good friends in terms of the way we've communicated and just shared some ideas. Tomi Lahren. And, Tomi, you've all seen her, her final thoughts online, or you've seen her on Fox News as a contributor. She's definitely a firebrand. She is a political voice. She's a conservative political voice. And it's a love-hate relationship. There's not a lot of in-between when it comes to Tomi, but she's agreed to sit down with me in the studio, and I'm real thankful for that. She and I met on the set of her old show that she did with another network, and it was interesting. I had done a video when it was back during the political campaigns that were going on prior to the election. It was actually before the primaries, and I made a comment in a video. I still laugh about it to this day. I said, that America keeps saying that we're coming down to voting for the lesser of two evils, and I said out of 320 million people, it's amazing that we've only got two, and they are being characterized as evil, as who to choose from, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. I said, and this was the phrase, I said, it's like trying to pick which venereal disease you're most okay living with for the next 4 to 8 years. And so Tomi had me on her show. She wanted to talk about that video, and we did, and had an instant friendship. We did a few other projects together. We did an award show that ran simultaneously with the Oscars that year. We called it the Flakies, the Snowflake Awards. And I wrote an original parody song instead of what's the song? Instead of American Pie, I wrote Snowflake Cry, and it was a funny song. I don't care. I don't mind telling you myself. I thought it was pretty funny, and we put that on the network. It was the theme song for the show. And we had a little fun doing that. And, of course, then she up and moved and left the network and wound up in Los Angeles, right down the road here from where our studios are with Podcast One. And so I'm looking forward to having a little conversation with her. I think you're going to enjoy it as well. I want you to go to my website. Check it out, watchchad.com. You can find me on tour. You can find the tour dates there. Of course, you can find some of my ridiculous political commentary on politicalcowboy.com as well. And I want to encourage you, if you're out and about, you want to come to see a live show. It's not a political show. It's just a fun show. It's a comedy show. It's a show about the American condition. It's a show about stuff that everybody in America, every family in America deals with, and just some funny stories from that. You can find me, as a matter of fact, you can find me here in just a couple of days at Thousand Oaks, California. November 18th is the date on that, and then I'm going to be in Kansas City on November 30th. I'm going to be in Boise, Idaho, December 7th, Spokane, Washington on December 8th, and I'm going up into the really cold area of Billings, Montana, December 15th, Milwaukee, December 16th, and then I may never leave Casper, Wyoming on December 29th. I might get snowed in, but I'm going to have to get out of there because I got to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma on December 30th. And so we're calling that tour the Star Spangled Banter Tour, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. We've done about 25, 30 dates so far this year, and we've just had a fantastic time with that. So hopefully you'll go to watchchad.com, and you will check out the tour dates and find one coming to a city near you. Of course, we're going to continue the tour into 2018, so you'll see some of those dates that are being released and being announced coming soon. So visit that. Thanks for tuning in. I want you guys to pay close attention, enjoy. Be sure to, send us a good message, leave us a good review, and don't forget, you can always download the Podcast One app, and of course, you can get this podcast wherever podcasts are offered. So when we come back, I want to be sitting down with my good friend, Tomi Lahren, and I think you're in for a big surprise.
We will be back in a moment with more of The Chad Prather Show.
Hey, my name is James Petrogallo.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Please join us every single Tuesday for Crime in Sports.
So fun.
You like sports?
You don't have to.
Let's just set up a contest and find out what an idiot did wrong. What do you say?
I'm in.
We're going to do that each and every week. We take an athlete, we break him down, we make fun of everything he's ever done.
Yeah. But in order to do that, we have to build up and tell you all about their career and get you to what, James? To grace.
And then watch them fall from grace, as they inevitably do. Join us. Big criminals, small criminals, sports you've never heard of. Doesn't matter. It's the crime. It's the comedy. It's such a good time. Join us every Tuesday for Crime in Sports.
You can join us every Tuesday at podcastone.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe on all Apple products.
Find us every Tuesday and laugh at people.
Hey, folks, Podcast One has a great new app for you to listen to The Chad Prather Show and all of the great Podcast One shows available right now in the App Store or on Google Play. Find articles, social media, create playlists with your favorite episodes, and connect with other fans of the podcast. You can even create your own polls and debate the topics we talk about on the show. We have our own little community out there. You need to join it. Check out exclusive content such as behind-the-scenes photos and so much more. And if you have 360 video or watch shows in virtual reality, there are over 1,000 videos on the app right now. It's like you're in the studio. There is no other podcast app like this. Download the all-new Podcast One app in the App Store or on Google Play.
Welcome back to The Chad Prather Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Chad Prather Show. We're having fun just talking and hanging out, and it's just been crazy here in L.A. It's an adjustment for me when I come out to the studios in L.A. because I'm so used to just being out in the country, in the middle of Texas, and where the pace is a little bit different. That's why I avoid certain big cities in Texas. And then I come out to L.A., and I don't know, part of me loves it and things like that. And one of the great things about coming out to L.A. is you get to visit with some old friends from Texas who now live in L.A. And I'm sitting here with somebody I haven't seen her in a minute. Well, I've seen her a lot, but I haven't seen her personally in a minute. Tomi Lahren is sitting here in the studio with me. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Welcome to La La Land.
La La Land. I never am sure. I always want to refer to it that way. I don't know if that's offensive. Nowadays, I don't know if anything's offensive. I think everything is offensive.
Oh, boy, we wouldn't want to offend anyone. That would be the first time for me, Chad. First time for everything.
Fox contributor, firebrand, friend. I'll give you all the labels that are out there. I love your voice. I always have. I became a big fan a long time ago, and of course you and I kind of got to know each other a little bit when you were with another network, and you had me on your show, and I remember your producer saying, this may be the fastest segment ever because you guys talk so fast. Both of you talk so fast.
I do. I have a lot to say in a very limited time with which to say it. So I have to speak quickly.
That's the deal. You have to get it out as quick as possible. Now, you grew up, you're from originally Rapid City, South Dakota. I love that town.
And you know where it is.
Yeah.
So you come out to California and they go, I thought it was just Dakota. I thought it was just one state. Why don't we just make it one state?
Yeah.
I don't think that they have really the power to do that, but they'd sure like to here in California.
That's kind of the mindset.
That's too bad, yeah.
What do you run into? We'll get back to that in a minute because I want to talk about it. But what do you run into out here when you run into people who obviously are going to recognize you and they're going to give you their opinion and things like that? What's their view of America as they think they should interpret it to you?
First of all, I'm going to tell you this. There are so many conservatives in California.
Sure.
I knew this when I was in San Diego, but that's a military town. So it was to be expected, at least through my eyes. I got to LA, I thought it's not going to be as conservative. And clearly it's not, but there are so many whisper voters here, meaning that they voted for Trump, but they would never say it to their friends. But they come up to me all the time and they say, thank you for being in California because we feel like we're the only one. And I often get, hi, Tomi, I'm the only conservative in California besides you.
Yeah.
But then I have 25 people a weekend say that to me. And I'm thinking, no, they're actually out in force. They're just afraid to say it because, the left is so tolerant.
Yeah. Exactly. Obviously, those of you who have followed Tomi for a long time and watched her, you know that she says exactly what she means. And that's one of the big things that I appreciate about you. I know you've got to get that a lot. And I see you on Instagram. I see your live stories. I mean, it's so hard. You can't hide on social media, but you don't even try to. You just put it out there. You're living your life. And I'm like, well, I guess she's fitting in pretty good in Los Angeles, having a good time. And so obviously she's found some of her own like-minded folks out there.
You find them, and then I have to tell you, the only negative confrontations I've had have been women who are self-described feminists that come up to me and they call me a whole slew of names. And it's actually really odd to me, Chad, because I would think that these women would look to me as someone who's doing something in the environment that is male-dominated. I think they would look at me, even if we have different ideologies and different political views, I would think that they would say, hey, that's a strong woman that's doing great things that really stands up for herself. But no, not the case.
Yeah.
They're angry.
Yeah, and they're not going to be accepting of that at all. Are they? They're just going to say, "Hey, look, you would think they would. They'd be proud of the fact that you've accomplished what you've accomplished."
I've talked a couple off the cliff before. I've had women come up to me and call me a whole slew of names, including Nazi, and I grab their shoulder and say, listen, you don't know me and I don't know you. Let's have a good night. Nobody here is a Nazi. Nobody here is alt-right. Nobody here speaks of hate and these things and racism. You don't know me. We have different views, but let's just put it aside. And a couple of them have been receptive to that. Yeah. Not all, but what can you do?
Yeah. They didn't give you a big hug.
No.
It didn't get that far where you guys were embracing and saying, let's trade numbers, that kind of thing.
No, not quite. But I do actually have a very good friend here, and I met her through other friends who are conservative. But I didn't know until I looked on her Instagram that she is a Hillary supporter. She went to the Women's March. But when we're together, we don't talk politics. It's as easy as that. Really, it is. We just don't talk about it.
Do you find, I always tell people, because the social media videos that I do, I put them out there and I say, look, if you want to watch them, watch them. You don't have to watch them. It's not like that's the only thing on this television network and you've only got that television network to watch. You can scroll on past, but yet people want to do it. It's almost like they're drawn to it, moth to a flame kind of thing. And then they're pissed off. Now they're offended. And then they want to give you their 2 cents as to why. Look, if you didn't like it, you knew you weren't going to like it. And the problem is you keep coming back. And I know you get a ton of that. I can always tell when you've retweeted something of mine, because then the comments go nuts. You know what I mean? I look and I'm like, wow, that thing really blew up. Why are people saying, is Tomi Lahren's in there too? She retweeted.
Let me tell you something about Twitter. So Twitter hates...
I want to know, actually.
Yeah. Twitter hates Donald Trump, and so liberals think that the country hates Donald Trump and conservatives and me and you and everyone else that has a voice in our line of work. So because Twitter hates us, these liberals think that everyone hates us. But like I told you, not so. But Twitter is an evil place. I mean, it really is. They'll just say whatever the heck they want, but something that I live by is no one hunts small deer. If you're watching everything that I'm doing, if you're reading everything that I tweet, if you're retweeting it, you're quoting it, whatever else, you're a fan.
Yeah.
Want
that's
a picture?
Exactly right.
I mean, that's really what it is.
That's exactly right. I see that. Do you ever worry about... I'll ask that question in a minute. But you ever think about, you look at stuff like that, and I share that same philosophy because I say, look, if you're watching it and you're listening and you're quoting me, then you're a follower. You're part of you're in the group right here. And you definitely have a lot of that. Do you find that, obviously you got thick skin, I've got thick skin. Does it roll off your back? Do you ever just sit back and go, damn, did I ask for all of this? Is this really what I want? Do I want this many people coming at me with the vitriol and the things like that? Or do you just say, screw it, that's how it is, and that's the way it's going to be. I'm okay with it.
If you let it get to you, it will get to you. But I decided a long time ago that I wasn't going to let it, and I live by that. And there are times, the thing that does make me angry are when liberals, they misrepresent what I said, or they just throw some stupid crap my way. Like, for example, my Halloween costume. Let's go there.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah.
When you get plastic wings on Amazon, that is not the actual American American flag.
not a flag.
I didn't go home and take the American flag and cut it and decided I'm going to make it into wings.
Yeah.
And so when people are throwing the flag code at me, it's like, listen here, guys. I think you need to research a little bit deeper. You need to understand the real meaning of the flag code. And by the way, if you're really pulling out the flag code on me, maybe it's time to find something better to do. A hobby, perchance?
Yeah. It's amazing to me. I got a big attack myself. Nothing on the par of what you got, but I got a big attack. I did a photo shoot a while back with a flag that was flown in conjunction with the officers that were shot in Dallas, and so it had a memorial conjunction with all of that. It was a meaningful flag, and they asked me to take a picture with this flag. So I did a photo shoot, and the flag was folded properly, and I had it. It was on my shoulder here, just kind of sitting on my shoulder. People lost their freaking minds over the deal. I wasn't wearing it. It wasn't apparel. It was not, being used as a costume. Because I've heard all these words, the same as you, with the flag code. And somebody sent me the article from, what was it, Maxim? That talked about it on yours. And so they sent a deal and they said, we want to know what you think about this. Normally I would have ignored that. But the guy said a couple of things because he gave me his little argument. And I said the exact same thing. I said, she's not wearing the flag. She's wearing something with a flag design. There's a huge difference in that. And it took me 3 different messages back to him, and I finally put periods between the words, not the flag. She didn't take it home, cut it up, and make a costume out of a flag. What she was wearing cannot be flown from a pole. You can't do it. And so I've had the hardest time trying to help people understand when they ask me, about this deal, because and finally the guy finds an article and he said exactly what you and I are saying, and he sends it to me and he says, so this is what you're saying. I was like, holy shit.
Finally, we got there. But beyond that, I think that the thing is now they suddenly care about the flag. Yeah. They suddenly care about the flag now, really, because I'm wearing it. And also, I'm wearing it because I'm patriotic as hell.
Right.
I respect that flag. I respect everyone that died fighting for that flag and the sacrifices that the Americans have made for that flag. I was not mocking that flag. I was not disrespecting that flag. I found a costume that was flag wings because I wanted to make a statement that I love this country. And I wore Make America Great Again bodysuit as well because I love my president.
And you did it well. You did it well. It was a fantastic costume. I thought it was great. And that's what I said to somebody about not only yours, but back when the flub came about me, I said, now, if you look at this, just point blank, you look at it, is this a patriotic expression or is this an unpatriotic expression? Now, you tell me what it is. Well, code says, I said, no, I didn't ask for that. What is this person trying to communicate? Are they trying to communicate? They're not burning it. They're not kneeling in front of it. They're not standing on it. They're not crapping on it. They're not disrespecting it in any way, form, or fashion. And P.S., it's not a flag in your case. And so it's weird to me because you're right. It was 100% patriotic. And it's amazing to me where people are looking at so much of what we're doing and what we're saying. If you're right of center in any way politically in this day and age, people want to look at you and they're trying to dissect everything you do to try to find some form of hypocrisy with you and say, oh, we always knew it. We always knew it. She's not what she says she is.
Oh, yeah, she must hate the flag. They're clearly not paying attention, but these are the same people that march around on the street in mass with pink vaginas on their head, and they're going to talk about my Halloween costume? No, I'm sorry. Let's let this one go.
I was in South Dakota the other day, actually. I was in Sioux Falls. I had a show in Sioux Falls, and we woke up the next morning, and we went into a diner to eat. It was myself, my road manager, and we were sitting there, and I look over, and I did a double take because the lady in the booth across from us had a vagina hat on her child.
No, not in South Dakota.
In South Dakota.
I'm going to cry.
In South Dakota.
In South Dakota?
I did a double take.
I need to go back.
It happened.
I need to fix this
You need to get back in there.
Not in my state.
It happened.
Oh, she must have been from out of town.
It happened.
I'm telling you, she had to have been from out of town.
Well, I promise you, she was raising that child for the electric chair. She was absolutely wild as a buck. I mean, this kid was all over and I was like, she's a future protester, I can tell already. But I looked over and I did a double take because I was like, is it a pink stocking cap? No. It was the Vagina Hat.
Yeah, a female empowerment at its best right there. That's what they're teaching their children. Yeah. Wear stupid hats and say F Trump because that's classy and intelligent and that will further the causes of women's rights. Sure.
Where do we get to a point, though? Because I've had this conversation with a number of people. I know it's easy to preach, and we all do that. You do it, I do it. That's kind of the language we speak sometimes where we say, look, here's the point. We're going to make it. And you like it or lump it, but we're going to make it. Where do we come? Where is dialogue gone? Where's discussion gone? What's the place for that? Now, you were at Politicon. You had the quote unquote debate with Chelsea Handler. I don't even know if it was a debate necessarily. It was somewhat of a dialogue. How did you interpret that?
Yeah, it was a conversation. I thought it went very well. And again, just the other day, I did an interview with a rapper, Master P.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and we did it with Fox, and we sat down. We had a great conversation, a great dialogue. And after that, I had two sources, TMZ Sports as well as BET, ripping it up and down. Oh, why would you sit down and talk to her? Now, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, these are the tolerant ones. They're supposed to be the tolerant ones. Yet none of my fans said, oh, why'd you sit down with a rapper? Why'd you sit down with a thug? Right. No, they said, hey, this is really interesting. We like what this guy has to say. He sounds like a capitalist and a businessman. Yeah. So it wasn't my side of the aisle that took issue with it. It was the other side. Time and time again, they remind us how unloving and intolerant they actually are. Yeah. So you try to have a dialogue, and they're still going to rip it apart because, oh, don't sit down with someone that's not like you. So ridiculous.
Oh, Tomi, come on. No, I thought it was fantastic. I think we need to do more of that. I think that's what needs to be put out there. Let's sit down and have a dialogue. I had somebody that sent me a message the other day. He consistently gets on my social media and he tries to draw me into debate. And he consistently says things like, you need to have people who disagree with you. Look, I've had the debates. I believe what I believe for a reason. I know who I am and I know why. I mean, you know, at my age, I need to have some sense of identity at this point. I've got plenty of people that disagree with me, but I'm not going to go out looking constantly for a debate. I'd much rather go look for a dialogue and a discussion. Let's talk about why. And that's my big question. Why do you believe what you believe? So I'll ask you. Why did you get to where? How did you get to where you are? Why do you believe philosophically, politically, the way that you do? What was the journey?
Like you said, I grew up in South Dakota. Hardworking family. Both of my parents come from ranching backgrounds. You know it, being, a Texan, you know what that lifestyle is like.
Sure.
And that's what my family came from. It was always working hard, never asking for anything from anybody, but always being willing to help those in need. And to me, that's conservative politics 101. And so I grew up watching the news, and I grew up watching things like we're seeing on the news today and every day, which is people that don't understand our way of life, don't understand gun culture, don't understand the way that we were born and raised, trying to dissect it, trying to call it wrong, trying to do everything that they can to demonize it. And it really frustrated me growing up.
Well, and you did. You tweeted that yesterday. I think you tweeted it last night.
Oh, about Texans?
About
absolutely.
Texans. And I retweeted it because I agree with it. If you don't understand culturally, with Texans and it's South Dakotans and all across the board, there's so many of these folks out there. And you said, gosh, now I'm going to have a hard time. If you think it's wise to lecture Texans on gun laws, I'm guessing you haven't spent much time in Texas. And that's true, because I promise you that's going to be a place where gun control, to the degree that what they're describing, it's just not going to happen.
They don't want gun control. They want confiscation.
They want confiscation.
They just use control as a way. Yeah. And some of them are forthright about it. They say nobody should have guns. We shouldn't have guns. And I personally take issue with that.
Yeah.
If someone's going to bust into a church and murder my family members, I'd like to be able to defend myself, because that's the only way you're going to do it.
Well, I had somebody who sent me a message today, and they meant it well-meaning, but they said, why should anybody have a weapon that can be used to shoot a person? And I said, well, if a person invades your home, you want exactly that weapon. That's exactly. the one that's designed to defend you from a person. That doesn't mean that, it's this crazy mass shooting thing that's going on. It's just absolutely that's not a gun issue. That's a heart issue. Same as racism. You can tear down statues. You can do all these different things across the country to try to tear down outward symbols of these things. But until you change a heart issue, none of that's going to change.
Exactly.
I love the conversation you have with Master P. And you sat down, and he was very honest with you. He was very real. Both of you were, and you were straightforward with the thing. And that's just what we have to come to, in my opinion. What do you think? I mean, is it possible at this point?
It is possible. And here's the thing going into it. And I always say this. People watch my final thoughts, and they say, oh, well, you're just this way, and you're angry, and you're aggressive. Yeah, you're damn right, because I'm pissed off. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I'm willing to sit down and speak with anyone. I'll sit down with Colin Kaepernick and have a great conversation. He's not going to change my mind, but I'll hear what he has to say. And I think that's the key. Knowing that you can sit down and have a conversation and a dialogue with someone without wanting to change their mind, but just seeking to understand each other. We don't have to agree at the end of the day. It's not about winning or losing. It's about understanding each other. And then you gain a little respect for someone because you see where they're coming from. Don't agree with it, but you see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah. And you proved that. You proved it with Chelsea. When you at Politicon, you did that. I saw enough of that to know that you were fair with that thing. And you didn't back off at all. I was praying for you, man. I was like, yeah, this girl, she's stepping into the hot seat on this deal. But I didn't doubt you one bit. I knew your capability of being able to go in there and do that. But I also know some folks, when you get on into certain platforms, I also know how you do too, how folks can twist things and make things look a certain way, and the way it's interpreted, or the sound bites that are taken away from it and used. And
that's why I love live events.
Live events are great.
You can't do it. You
can't do it. How did you feel like, in light of that, how did you feel like, because I watched and I was so happy for you and excited when you did it, but when you did the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and that thing, how did you feel about the outcome of that deal? See, I feel like stuff like that is stacked against the guest simply because, one, you got an echo chamber studio audience that's sitting there, they're primed, ready to applaud when he says his one-liners, and I don't know, who knows, maybe he's got an earpiece being fed, from writers while he's sitting there talking to you. How do you feel like that thing came out?
I tell you, I have no problem walking into the Lion's Den if I know I'm walking into the Lion's Den. I knew the audience wasn't going to like me.
Sure.
But the thing that still to this day angers me about that situation is I was told and I was fed a completely different line as to what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be humorous. It was supposed to be lighthearted. It was supposed to be us going back and forth talking about some issues, but it was supposed to be in a lighthearted, comedic way. No, I walk in and sit down and it's just boom. Basically labeling me a racist out the gate. In fact, he told his audience, treat her like your racist uncle. He said that.
Really?
Like, oh, be nice to her. She's like your racist uncle. I mean, when you prime your audience with that already coming out saying I'm racist, listen, you don't know me, Trevor.
Yeah.
So that's what angered me about that. I was ready to have the conversation, but it's also when you control the audience, you control the time, you control the editing. You can let someone say a few things and you can cut them off, make a joke, and then you can completely misrepresent what they were doing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm still happy I did it.
Sure.
Because it exposed what I'm doing to a different audience. But what can you do? I mean, we can't stop. I'm not going to stop having these conversations because I've been burned a few times.
Yeah. Did you, let's say, and obviously, and I don't say this condescendingly or with any disrespect, a young lady, and there's, I love the voice. I love the way your brain works, and I've always appreciated how quick it works as well. But how did you decide? I mean, you were sitting there, let's say you're a freshman out in Las Vegas. And did you think this is where I want to go with my career? This is what I want to do. Was this the plan?
The end goal was always a talk show.
Really?
The end goal really always was Fox and a talk show on Fox. I'm working my way there, and we know I've had some bumps in the road, some great triumph, and it's been a great ride. But I always knew I wanted to do this because I looked at states like mine, states like yours, the whole middle of the country really, and I said these people need a voice because they're not being represented. It's the coasts that are dominating everything. These people in the middle need a voice, but there are so many in the middle that are either too busy or too intimidated to give voice to these issues. Yeah. But luckily I was born with some kind of a fearlessness where I really don't give a crap what people think of me or say about me. As long as I'm living my right life and I'm doing what I need to be doing and I'm proud of that, what they say really doesn't affect me. So I said I'm going to be able to stand up to it and I'm going to have that voice. And then once I started finding a following there, it feeds you. It really does. And it allows you to keep going.
Yeah, and you've done it well. I mean, do you feel like the path, because I know you've had some speed bumps, you've had some things, you got blindsided with some things after the appearance on The View and things like that, and that happens in life. I mean, that's just how it goes. But I mean, you've been happy with the path so far?
Absolutely. I wouldn't change a syllable of what happened. I wouldn't change it because you know what? I've also learned to be very cautious with people.
Yeah.
I've learned that it really doesn't matter if someone's a liberal or a conservative or has no political belief at all. People can screw you no matter what, and you have to watch your back. And you also have to make sure you surround yourself with good people, but not yes people. Don't surround yourself with people that just want to kiss your butt, because I've seen that, I've been around that, and I've seen the aftermath of that. And so for me, I keep my circle small. I keep people there that are going to give me constructive criticism. Yeah. And everything that's happened has been part of the process, God's journey.
It was funny. I know that I think, I don't know if I tweeted or it was probably Twitter. Twitter it escapes me. It's hard for me to communicate. You're a master at it. It's hard for me to communicate in 140 characters or less. So I'm sporadic with it, but I enjoy it. I get a lot of my quote news there, and I enjoy the dialogue that takes place there. But I know that there were a lot of people who, after those things, a lot of people would question me, or even on Facebook they would come at me and they'd say, "Well, what she said this. What do you think about that? Do you still agree with her on that?" I mean, I said, "Look, bottom line, she's still my friend first and foremost. I don't know a single human being on the planet that I agree with 100%. But I can tell you this, I got people that I don't agree with at all, and I still consider them my friends in that regard. We're diametrically opposed when it comes to things like politics and, social activity and things like that, but they can still be my friends. And so it's weird to me how you're right. People just get ready to throw you under the bus. The least little thing. They say, oh, well, there it is. She just exposed herself. She just showed that, she has an opinion that I don't agree with completely, and therefore we're going to get rid of her.
For me, though, what it was is really showing the world that, listen, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, even if I have to go against the grain.
Yeah.
Anyone that thought that I was operating off of talking points from my former employer or anyone else, I think that they found out on that day, March 17th, that no, she stands up for herself and what she believes in.
Yeah.
And at least, even if you disagree with it, you can have some respect for it because you know where I stand. And you know that I'm not slithering through the grass trying to do what's popular. That's not me.
Yeah. No, that's definitely not you. That's never been the route you've taken. That's for sure. Were you just kind of ready to pull your hair out at some point in time though, after everything went down with the old network, and you were, there was the Facebook situation, and then there's this, the different orders that were coming down, and you all of a sudden now you're kind of in limbo. How did you emotionally deal with that?
Who wants to deal with a lawsuit at age 24?
Right.
I mean, really, who wants to take on a behemoth when you're a 24-year-old girl with limited resources? Who wants to do that? Not many. But you know what? It made me stronger. Everything I've done has made me stronger, and it's allowed me to grow, and it's allowed me to learn a lot of things. I've learned a lot about the law. From now on, I think that it would be cheaper for me just to go to law school instead of paying an attorney. Boy. But people that thought that I was doing that to get rich off of that, or like I wanted to end somebody, or I was out for revenge. No, completely the opposite. I was forced to do what I did because I was put in a position where the only other answer was shutting up, being quiet, and locking myself in a room and just withering away. And
that's not a good option
really
for you.
It's not really my style. So I'm a fighter, and it turned out the way that it was supposed to.
Now, if it were, and I would agree with that, I wholeheartedly, and also, and I think I did so. I sent you a private message as well, saying congratulations on the the change and the new gig and all that stuff, and I was excited for you, and I think it did go the way it needed to go. I was one of those guys who was sitting out there prognosticating, trying to figure out where's Tomi going to pop up, where's she going to go, and then people were saying, is she unemployed? What's she doing? And then you were with the pack and you were doing all these different things. And I was like, she's going to be just fine.
Well, when you've got 10 different side hustles, you're never unemployed.
Right.
I was doing
people don't understand that.
Yeah, they don't understand that either. I was doing speeches almost every weekend around the country. So people don't understand I was not unemployed. But beyond that, I tell people when they were so worried about me, I said, don't worry about me, because I got to where I am.
Yeah.
A network didn't make me, so a network is not going to break me. Unless you're going to, close my mouth and sew it shut, you really are not going to take away what I've built.
Yeah.
But that Facebook page was important because that's where my fans are. That's where my followers are. That's where my voice was. So I was going to fight like hell for that. But beyond that, you think taking away my show?
Yeah.
This isn't my first show, number one. Number two, it's not going to stop me.
Yeah.
You didn't make me. You're not going to break me.
Yeah. You had the momentum going. You definitely did. I know that for me, they kicked me off of Facebook for 24 hours one time, and I thought I was going to lose my friggin' mind. I know it had to be, and you're out there giving the speeches, and you're on the road, and you're doing these things, and you're in demand. But how frustrating is that now you can't do that daily piece on social media and put it out there, and basically they got they got the gag on your mouth, so to speak. How frustrating was that?
Incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there thinking to myself, calling my parents in South Dakota saying, why is this happening? I really don't feel like I did anything wrong here. I know I didn't do anything wrong here. So why is this happening? And then I had to remind myself, you know what? Trust the process. This is God showing you what you're made out of.
Yeah.
This is God telling you, I don't want you on this path. I want you on another one, but you're going to have to fight to get there. So you can either give up and you can maybe fall back and apologize and say, I didn't mean that. Or you can go and try to twist yourself into whatever you want to be, or you can just be yourself and you can get through it.
Yeah.
And you can come out on the other side knowing a whole lot more and knowing who you can trust and who's with you when things aren't perfect.
You digging what you're doing now?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. There's more to come, though. There's more to come. I'm never satisfied.
Of course there is.
Yeah, there's more to do.
Every now and then I'll go into the Dallas studio there on Main Street. I know you've been in there a number of times when you're doing, and I'll be in there, and those guys are in there, those techs, and they're like, man, we miss it when Tomi used to come in here. I was like, you bless your hearts. It's nothing endearing. They were just attracted to you. Jackasses. Yeah, I know.
Well, you know what? I will take that because there were some things said about me that I was this horrible monster.
Yeah.
And that, to me, to be honest, I haven't really told anyone about this. I'm writing about it in my forthcoming book, but
Nice.
I haven't told anyone about this. But during that time, none of the stuff that was said about me really bothered me except that.
Yeah.
When people were saying that I treated people poorly, especially people in the crew,
I remember that, yeah.
that hit me hard.
Yeah.
Because I would never treat someone with disrespect. I would never scream at someone, yell profanities at someone. That's not how I was raised. And so when that was being said about me, that's the one thing that caused some tears because that was attacking my character as a person.
Yeah. You and I know I was on the show that we did the Flakies.
It was great,
we did
though.
the Snowflake Awards during the Oscars. That was fun. And I remember not long after that, I had totally forgotten and just put it out of my mind and just file it away. But I remember people asking me, they said, is she a hard person to work with? Is she hard? Is she mean to people? Is she? And I said, I look, I can't give you some exhaustive, explanation of how she works on a day-to-day basis, but I've been around her a couple of times, and I can tell you she's treated everybody pretty nice. She went with the flow, and that was kind of an off-the-cuff production with the whole thing, that Oscar night. And nobody lost their cool. Nobody did it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, and I said, I don't think I still look back on that. And my office at home, my home office, I still got my flaky sitting up there on my.
Yeah, it was a great night.
Yeah.
And that's why I look back at it. I look back at the time at that network that I won't name.
Sure.
And I have good memories, so I'm going to choose to take away the good memories. I met my best friend there. Mm-hmm. She came from Los Angeles to come work on my show, Jessica.
Yeah.
My best friend to this day. And if not for that place and that experience, I would have never met Jessica.
Yeah.
So you know what? Hey, there are good things to be taken away from it. I learned a lot. And there are some great people there, some not so great people there. But you know what? That's life.
Yeah. I know that when I was your age, when I was in my 20s, in my early 30s, I felt like everywhere I went, I was stepping on a landmine. It was one of those deals where it's like, God, you're obviously getting me ready for something because I'm failing at every turn, everything that I do. I look back on those things now and I think, boy, I thought I was dying then. Now I look back on them and I'm like, thank God I went through those things because it made me who I am today. People will look at me now and they'll listen to a video that I'll do or they'll hear a commentary or they'll see a speech or something like that or they'll come to a show. And they'll say, wow, you really got a lot of wisdom. Well, point of fact, I've probably lived more life in 45 years than most people live in 3 sets of 80s, because I've just been through so dang much. And you're certainly on the track to outpace me on that because you've been through a lot. You've accomplished a lot. And, I mean, you're still kicking it. What's next for you? Can you talk about the book?
I can just say that it's in the works.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot of what I've been through. And for me, it's about reaching millennials, but it's also about reaching young women and teaching young women that there is more out there than what you see now. There's more out there than social media.
Right.
There's more out there than who your friend group is now, and saying find yourself, dig in deep, find your voice, and stand up for that voice.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be people right and left that are going to want to take it from you, that are going to want to silence you and tell you to sit in the corner, and you can't do it.
Well, in my opinion, I was going to say, I didn't know that until you just said it a minute ago. If you aren't writing a book, you need to be writing a book, I'm looking at Arthur, my manager across the room. He keeps saying, give me pages, because our guys in New York, they've got enough that they want to do the book. And I keep being lazy.
It's a process. It's a process. You have to get there. But there's a lot of things that I didn't get to say that need to be said. And so I'm going to write them down. And hopefully there will be people that will read that. It'll give them something.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Then you can add New York Times bestseller, Tomi Lahren, and then you can charge $30,000 more a speech. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
That's back to that side hustle.
Yeah.
I have people all the time who's like, shut up and go get a job, man. You're just sitting in the truck talking. Like, if you had any idea.
Yeah, I know. People said that about me too, because between when I landed at Fox and the past, I was doing videos in my car. And people would say, oh, you're just doing videos in your car. I'm like, yeah, and I got 20 million views.
Exactly.
What about you, bud?
Thank you.
You tell your 167 followers that Tomi says what's up.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get out of here.
Exactly. You got some guy with 14 followers on Twitter telling you how to be a human being. All right, look here. We're doing what we're going to do, and we're going to use our platform. If you don't like it, move on. But I saw that. I had people who said, man, is Tomi trying to be like you, doing stuff? And I said, are you out of your damn mind? No, I don't think so. I think she's got her own little thing going. But, it's funny that social media, do you love it or hate it overall?
Well, for me, it's a business tool.
Right.
I don't, like I said, I don't read the nasty comments. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the writer of Harry Potter, JK Rowling, has come after me before.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, does that bother you? Hell no, it doesn't bother me. I got under her skin. I made her come out of Harry Potter land and come and talk about me, this 25-year-old from South Dakota. No, I take that as a badge. I'm going to wear it.
Thank you. And I say the same thing. I'm like, I had, I won't even name who it was, who jumped on me on Twitter the other day and we went back and forth on a couple of things. For me, it was fun. I was like, just keep giving me the attention. Mm-hmm. Just keep giving me the attention. Because, look, at the end of the day, I love everybody. I really do. People make you mad. They frustrate you. But I love truth, and I love logic, and I love being able to have that dialogue and be able to say, look, this is my conviction. This is where I come down, and I care enough about my country to say it. And I'm going to keep saying it, whether you agree with it, disagree with it, it's okay. And I'm willing to take all comers in terms of who wants to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that about you. You did a great job when you were on, I know when you were on, I don't even know what he calls this show now, Bill Maher's deal.
Yeah, Bill Maher. Real time.
Real time. And so they were, the guys were coming at you. And I loved your Benghazi reference on that.
Oh, that made me mad.
I know it did. I could see the skin cracking and the skull coming out and the horn starting. I saw.
Oh boy. Well, Chris Paronto is one of my good friends.
Sure.
And someone I have an incredible amount of respect for. I've also sat there with the widows of those that did die in Benghazi, and I'm proud to call them my friend. I've sat there at Navy SEAL Family Foundation events with them. And so when you're going to look at them and say, I bet you don't know their names, oh boy. Yeah, the claws are going to come out because you're not disrespecting me, you're disrespecting them, and I'm going to take an issue with that.
Yeah. You having fun in L.A.?
I am.
You like it?
Like I told you, I don't live in L.A.
Yeah.
I live out. I like to live out a little ways.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. See, I come from Texas. To me, it's like people think if you're from Texas, you're just from Texas. Texas is so vast. It's its own country. I tell people all the time, I say, well, we have this country in the middle of the country. It's got 24 million people in it, and we don't think of each other. Most Texans would rather be Texans than Americans, to be quite honest. So I understand what you're saying, but coming from Texas, I'm like, it's all L.A.
Yeah,
I can be in Sacramento. It's still LA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you find good places. You find where you belong. But Texas was a great time.
Sure.
In my life.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you, as a Texas guy and a big fan of Texas, I love the fact that you consistently give the shout-outs back to Texas, and because there's some good people there. There's some really good people. There's good people all over the country, and I think this country's made up of a lot of good people, really, regardless of where they're coming from, what their backgrounds are, what they're up against, and what their philosophies may be. But I think there's a lot of good people, and so I've always appreciated that about you. And are you getting to go out and have any fun, though? I mean, are you traveling a lot?
I'm trying to stay in LA as much as possible.
Why LA though? Why not New York?
Boy, I don't like small confined spaces. I like to be able to drive. That's the thing. I mean, I grew up in South Dakota. Yeah. South Dakota is more desolate than Texas.
You know what I did? So I flew into Fargo.
Oh God.
We had exactly. I flew into Fargo. This was just this week. I haven't been home. This week I flew into Fargo. We did the gig up there. Then we drove down to Sioux Falls, and then from Sioux Falls, we're sitting there at the hotel after the show in Sioux Falls. And I look at my road manager and I said, you know what? It's going to sleet and snow because we had to go to Green Bay. We were planning on leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's typically like a 7.5 hour, 8 hour drive. And I said, it's midnight. I said, we need to go right now. And I'm glad we did because it took us 12 hours to get to Green Bay.
Oh.
And then I did the show the other night in Green Bay, but I was just wiped out. But you're right. You get out in that part of the world and you can see. I tell people you can sit on the porch and watch your dog run away for 2 days. Mm-hmm. It's just flat and just beautiful. But now that's not true over in Rapid City where you are. Because you get up in the Black Hills.
Yes.
And the Black Hills are gorgeous. And when I did an event in Rapid City, I guess it was last winter because I got off the plane and the blizzard hit. And I was like, I got to go see Rushmore before the roads get too bad. So I immediately jumped out of the airplane, ran across, got my rental car, jumped in a truck, drove up into the Black Hills. Gorgeous, just gorgeous. I wish pictures could do justice to that part of the country.
Right.
But they can't.
No, and people think that all of South Dakota, kind of like Texas, is just, flat plains,
Yeah.
like not where I come from.
Yeah.
I come from the Black Hills. I come from Mount Rushmore, but my family still lives very close to Mount Rushmore. So I go home for the holidays, and it's untouched, and it's beautiful, and people here don't understand it, and that's fine, because my parents always say we don't really want the Californians or the New Yorkers or anyone else in South Dakota anyway. So you guys can think we're a desolate piece of crap state, and that's just fine.
That's fine. And it's really not. It's a gorgeous place. I always look forward for my opportunities to get back in the Rapid City area. Headed back up there. I'm actually I got to talk to you about this too. I'm going up to. They always schedule me to go to these places when it's freezing cold. I'm supposed to go to Minot, North Dakota in December.
Wow, in December?
December 22nd, as a matter of fact, with Paronto. Paronto's going to be at this thing, and I'm like, they want you there, but I know you've got another event going on.
I'm going to be in West Palm Beach.
Yeah. See, they said twist her arm. We'll fly her in just for the event, and we'll fly her back out. And I said, I don't think that you're going to be able to pull her away.
Well, hey, let me know because that's I go from. Hey, if we go to West Palm, I'm going back to South Dakota for the holidays anyway. So maybe, I love Chris and Chris
is going to be there. I'm going to be there, and who knows what kind of trouble. But, I mean, the Air Force Base there, they kind of maintain that airport pretty well. So I said, if you can get me in there, I'll come.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
It's always good to see
Welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Come back and see us.
You're one of the fun ones. You're one of the folks that I just have fun watching and just listening to because you just don't care. You just have enough of that.
Actually,
you care, but you have enough of that. I don't care about what you think of me, or if my opinion bothers you. You're saying I'm going to tell you what I think, and I like people like that. I love people like that. So, Tomi Lahren, you're at Tomi Lahren.
There's not a whole lot of Tommies.
There's not a lot of Tommies. If you type at Tomi on Twitter, they're going to find you.
They're going to find me. Tomi though.
Yeah, Tomi.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're if you're the one person on the planet out there listening to this and you're not following Tomi on Twitter, you need to go do that, and it will be the best thing on Instagram.
Facebook.
Follow her on Instagram. That's where the fun happens, in my opinion. Because I love the fact that the little story up across the top. Yep. You're one of my always. You're always up there, and I can keep up with what's going on with you. And so that's a fun deal. But thanks for coming on and hanging out on the show. And who knows, maybe we'll do this thing again. You're out here. I'm out here from time to time, and we got to go out sometime. And you eat chicken wings?
I eat everything.
I ask everybody about chicken wings. I'm a chicken wing fanatic.
Yeah, I'm a food fanatic. I got to be honest with you. I'm a food fanatic.
Yeah, well, there's some good food out here. I know that. I already know where I'm going to have dinner tonight. So
I'm going to close with this, though.
Yeah.
Texas, and I say this because I've lived in a few states now. Best food in the country is in Texas.
That's why in Dallas-Fort Worth we rank about 4th in obesity in America because the food is so damn good. It really is. And people want to say, "Hey, I'll be someplace in the country," and they say, "Let's go get barbecue," and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Yeah,
you just can't have it. So, hey, Tomi, thanks for coming on, and we're going to check you guys out next time. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing here on Podcast One, the Chad Prather Show. Till then, love y'all. God bless.
Thanks for listening to The Chad Prather Show. Check out new episodes every Thursday exclusively at PodcastOne.com, the new Podcast One app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Pro wrestling fans, join me 4 days a week on the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we cover Raw, SmackDown, the hot topics in pro wrestling, and interviews with stars on camera and people who work behind the scenes, such as ex-creative team members. New shows drop every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and you can hear me and co-hosts cover professional wrestling like no one else. With 30 years of experience, I cover pro wrestling with an independent voice, unaffiliated with any wrestling company. Recent guests